Sale, all my beautiful people. How are you doing today? Welcome to the Alternate Point of View. My name is Tracy Lee, and I am super excited that you're all here. Thank you if you are new. Welcome to the channel. If you are an OG and have been here for a while, welcome back. Today, we are going to talk about a case that I don't think many people are talking about, but it is happening in Georgia, which is right next to where I'm actually from, is Alabama. But this case is, wow, I am like sucked in. It is very interesting and it is really, really sad. I am finding it interesting because I'm still shocked that police departments out there and cities and states out there are still not taking missing persons seriously. And they're still having like a waiting period of when you can actually consider someone missing when you file a report. So in Gwinnett County, Georgia, a young teenage girl, 16-year-old Susana Morales, went missing on July 26th, 2022. And she was turned in as a missing person from her family because she did not return home one night after hanging out with some friends. And the Gwinnett County Police Department basically told her family that they had to wait 48 to 72 hours before they would even consider her missing. And then come to find out, actually, it doesn't even get assigned to a detective until she's been missing for 30 whole days. They don't actually get assigned a detective until they've been missing for 30 whole days. That seems to me actually awful, because in this day and age with social media and that kind of stuff, you would think that they would be able to, I don't know, go faster. But that's what they say, is that most of these kids pretty much run away, or they go to a friend's house and they stay for a few days. They don't tell their parents. And they usually can track them down on social media and that type of thing, because kids just decide they just want to dip out. So they don't put a lot of effort into missing children or missing teenagers especially. So they wait 30 days before they actually get on a detective's desk, which is really sad. But this family insisted that their child would not just run off. And actually, she was in a Circle a Friend group that has the Life 360 app. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this app, but it is a very good tool to have for your kids, for your family members, for anyone, especially if you're into true crime. You obviously have that app on your phone. I have my son and his wife, who my son is 24, but he's a truck driver. So I have him on the Life 360 app. I need to know where he is at all times, because he's on the road and I want to make sure he's safe. Also, you know, I have my sister on it. She's in a certain special group. I have different groups of Life 360, and you can have several different groups with your friends, your family, that kind of thing. And Susana she was in a group. And what's crazy is her friend's house that she was at her friend's apartment that was behind where she lived. And she told her mom, which she fibbed, okay, she's 16. She fibbed and told her mom she was going to be at one friend's house when she was actually at another friend's house. And this was a friend's house that her mom had told her she could not hang out with. And there was a reason for this. And it was because this friend smoked pot. And that's what Susana was doing. She was over at this friend's house smoking pot. And she didn't want to tell her mom, so she told her mom she was at another friend's house. Well, this investigation and her mom took a little bit longer to jump off because, of course, friends cover for friends. So her friend Esmeralda told her mom, when her mom discovered that she wasn't home, she, of course, called Esmeralda and said, "Is Susana there?" And Esmeralda said, "Oh, she just left." So to kind of cover for her friend, because she didn't want her mom to know that she wasn't really there. But then she started texting her friend and saying, "Hey, Susana, where are you at? Your mom's looking for you. You better get home." But she wasn't getting any responses. And then suddenly the little circle of friends get this alert on their Life 360 app that says something has happened to Susana. There was like a crash or something. And they start panicking and looking for her and trying to figure out where she's at. And they start looking where her phone last was pinged on this Life 360 app, and they don't find her phone. They don't find Susana. They don't find anything. So they're like, okay, crap, we have to let her mom know that we don't know where she's at. Also, she had a boyfriend. Boyfriend didn't know where she was at. He was looking for her. Everyone's looking for her. They go to the police station, and the police station's like, well, you got to wait so many days to report her missing. But luckily, they came across one cop who was like, okay, I think you're right. She probably isn't a runaway. They had collected enough cell phone information from all of the friends that she was very close to, and she wasn't contacting anyone. She basically had just fallen off social media, wasn't speaking to any friends, wasn't responding. And her mom was basically, like telling these cops, like, my daughter would not just disappear. Well, she was hanging out at a friend's house at an apartment complex, of course, that was right around the corner from her house, a couple of streets up. At this apartment complex, as with most apartment complexes, they have a safety officer, security officer. They get a discount to live in the apartments. They're usually off-duty cops, okay? This officer turned out to be an off-duty cop, and also in the guard or reserves or something, weekend warriors, we call them, right? So he was in the military, and he's a police officer. And he was working this job off-duty at nighttime. He's just checking the property, making sure everything's cool. But this guy also apparently has a dark side. So in comes Miles Bryant. Why is Miles Bryant important to this case? Well, we find out almost a year later, because they don't find Susana that they have been searching for from July 26th, 2022 until February 6th, 2023. They find Susana's skeletal remains behind the apartment complex. A random stranger who is off-roading in his Suzuki Samurai. And if you guys don't know what that is, it is an old school, kind of like a Jeep, but a baby Jeep that Suzuki made way back in the day. And people use them for off-roading just for fun. They jack them up, put big wheels on them. And I mean, they're tiny. And he was just off-roading behind these apartments in the woods in Gwinnett County, Georgia. And he was actually got out of his vehicle, was talking on the phone, pacing around the woods for like 20 minutes. And he came across a skeleton head and was like, that looks pretty real. So he calls 911. Cops come out, and they come upon this, and they're deep in the woods, okay? And they come upon this skeleton, and they're like, holy crap, it is a skeleton. It is real. So they call forensics. They come out, and lo and behold, the next day, they determine that it is the skeletal remains of Susana Morales, the girl they have been searching for since July. So guess who lives in an apartment right in front of these woods? This guy, Miles Bryant. But how is he connected to this case? Well, another funny thing is found in the woods. A gun, a Glock, a handgun that has ammunition in it and a light on it. And they look up the gun, the serial numbers. All guns have serial numbers on them, unless they are rubbed off, which when I worked in forensics, I did my internship in forensics. You use a special liquid to try to raise the serial number off, because people don't realize when they get scrape the serial number off of a gun, it's actually deeply embedded in the metal, so deep that you can actually still try to pull the serial number off the gun. So you can still get the serial number. People don't really know that when they amateurly try to scrape the serial number off. because they think they can't be traced. But this gun, however, when they ran the gun number in NCIC, which is a database where all guns are registered, they found that this gun had been reported stolen. Because obviously this person left the gun in the woods with it loaded. The magazine was loaded. So you know there's going to be fingerprints on every single round, right? So, and there's going to be fingerprints on the gun probably. So why would you leave your gun just laying there beside someone's, skeletal remains? Well, they find out this gun belonged to Miles Bryant. And he reported it stolen, lo and behold, on July 27th, the day after Susana Morales went missing. So far, we are on day 3 of this trial, and we have heard testimony from Susana Morales' mother, her friends that last saw her, and we have heard testimony from some of the officers, the forensic scientist, or forensic technician, and from the medical examiner, who has many, many years of experience and has testified in over 400 cases and done autopsies over 6,000 times. And they do not have a specific cause of death, but they are charging Miles Bryant with sexual assault and murder. I'm not sure what they have on him yet because we're only into day 3 of the trial, but they did search his apartment, so I'm still waiting to find out what they found in his apartment. But what they did find in the search of his truck, because apparently some of the witnesses they've had on the stand are ex-girlfriends of his. He was apparently a stalker. He had in his truck, when they searched it, he had kind of like what you would call kidnapping or rape kit. He had zip ties, he had alcohol, he had, I guess, ways to confine someone if he needed to. He also had an ID that belonged to a female. I'm not sure what female it belonged to. So I don't know how many times he's done this. But there is also video that has been admitted of him stalking one of his ex-girlfriends. It turns out that he was quite the, I'm not really sure. He has some tendencies. And the crazy thing is he was a Doraville police officer. A Doraville is an area in Georgia. It's not huge, but he was a police officer. He worked for the Doraville Sheriff's Department. And, he was in the military. So, and he was also an officer, a security officer for this Sterling Glen apartment complex. So this guy was like really supposedly there to protect and serve, and he didn't do that. And they found evidence on his phone that showed that he was where the skeletal remains were found. So you wouldn't just go in those woods. They showed body cam footage of the guy who found the skeletal remains leading the police officers to the remains, and it is deep in the woods, y'all. He had to actually park his Suzuki Samurai out on the roadway so the cops could find him, because he was way deep in the woods. Because when you go off-roading, you go into the woods, you go off into like some areas that, you don't want to be, you want to really off-road. So for those of you who don't know what off-roading is, it's where you want to go, like you get muddy, get dirty, you get out in there in the sticks, okay, like way out. And that's what he was doing. And he took them out there, and it took them a long minute to get out there deep in the woods, because you can even hear on the body cam that the cops are saying, man, we're deep in the woods right now. So they have his phone pinging in that area. They said they had, and actually he was texting his girlfriend at the time that night, but there were huge gaps of time that he was not responding to her. So he had a conversation with a fellow inmate in jail saying, what can you get the death penalty for? Because they only have him on these charges. So I don't know if he's done this before. That's really strange. And I'm just not really sure if what he's done, but I don't think this is the only time. But what's shocking is why? Like, why would he do this to a 16-year-old girl? She was walking home from her friend's house. He was supposed to be keeping these apartments safe. And literally, she was just snatched up off the sidewalk. And apparently, her phone has her going like 40 miles an hour in the opposite direction of where she started. And she's just taken. And her life is taken away. And she was about to start her junior year of high school. And I mean, and the defense is really sad because they're making her to be like some kind of druggie. She was 16. She was smoking pot with her friends. And yeah, her mom did not want her hanging out with those friends. And she was like lying about where she was, but she's 16. We all did things like that. And that doesn't mean that she, deserved this. And they're trying to I think the defense is trying to make it seem like because he reported his gun stolen the next day, he said it was in his truck. I believe what they're trying to do is say because she made like a sad post a couple of weeks prior on her social media, they're trying to make it seem like she took the gun out of his truck and she went into the woods, way deep into the woods, and killed herself. Although there is no evidence of any type of bullet wound to her skull or anything like that. The medical examiner did not find any actual cause of death. Her cause of death is undetermined. So they don't have that. But what is crazy is that he had his personal truck and his Doraville police SUV were all taken and searched. So he was actually a police officer. I mean, it's just shocking that someone who is a police officer, someone that you would trust, takes someone and just takes their life. A teenager. And the fact that she was out there for almost, from July to February. It's crazy. And he had girlfriends, he was cheating on his girlfriend. He had several different girlfriends. And so the fact that he's capable of that, just is crazy. So, they were only able to identify who she was based off dental records because the family had to get her dental records when they reported her missing. And the fact that she was out there in the elements that whole time, right behind his house, right behind his apartment, not far from where she lived, she was there the entire time. So I think it's really sad that she had been in this situation. I think it's really sad that there are still police stations, police cities, or places that don't consider missing children. She's still a child, even if she's a teenager, that don't consider this sense of urgency to find these kids, that they wait until you still have to wait 48 to 72 hours before you can consider them missing. I mean, that's vital, vital time. Like, it didn't even take him that long. He did this that night, the July 26th, when she left her friend's house. She didn't even her friend walked her to the apartment entrance and said goodbye, see you tomorrow. And she walked out onto the sidewalk and she was gone, just like that. And police are telling her family they have to wait 48 to 72 hours. That's just insane. She didn't have a chance. So I think there needs to be a change. I did not realize there were still cities that do that. I thought that we were doing better, but we are not. And we need to make a difference. We need to change that. There needs to be a change. I mean, I get that police departments are bombarded. I get it, but that there needs to be a change. So I pray that there's a change and that there just has to be. We need to take it more seriously. People need to share and understand, and we need to make a difference. Because poor Susana did not have a chance. And there are other kids out there that don't have a chance. So we need to do better. I will keep you posted on this trial. Apparently, Miles is going to testify in his own defense. This is a very crazy trial to me. I can't believe that this is even happening. But he denies this. He has denied it even when he was interviewed and interrogated. He denies it. So we will see what he has to say for himself when he gets called to the stand. So I hope you guys appreciate that I'm covering this case, because I think it's very, very important that people know that there are still cities and states that do not consider missing teens a priority. So find out where you are and make a difference. Get it going. Talk to your representatives and make it a priority to find these kids. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you all so much. I hope you'll join my live on Monday, where we are going to watch the tattoo face killer in Florida. He goes to court and he's not covering those tattoos. So we're going to watch it. And we're going to keep you updated on Miles Bryant and pray for Susana's family. Kamsahamnida. Thank you.